Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dice Odyssey. You ready to be part of the space race? We're going to review Space Explorers by 25th Century Games. I'm trying hard not to spoil what I think about this. Let's get into it. This is a tableau building, engine building style game where you're trying to get all of your research hubs optimized for the best research you possibly can and complete different kinds of research projects as you go, and to be the person with the most points by the end of the game. Now I'm going to show you just a brief overview of what the game looks like, and then I'm going to come back with my final thoughts. In Space Explorers, you are the head of a research and development hub in a space research center, competing with other such hubs in the spirit of the golden age of astronautics. Your goal is to complete large-scale space projects by gathering the best and brightest minds humanity has to offer. Your ultimate goal is to score the most progress points by recruiting specialists and completing projects by the end of the game. To trigger the end of the game, you must have recruited at least 12 specialists to your hub, or all the projects that have been listed on the board have been completed. On a player's turn, you can perform one of two following actions. You can take a specialist card from the center area, or from the top of the deck into your hand. The other action is you can recruit a specialist from the center or from your hand directly into your research hub. Now in your tableau, you've got 5 different divisions you can recruit specialists into. Now let's take a look at one of the cards. Now the top left of the card, it's going to show either the points that you'll get for the end of the game, or an asterisk symbol, which corresponds with a power that's located at the bottom right of the card. Now if you look underneath that area, there is the specialist's skill, and they're denoted by the symbol and color of a certain division they can go into. But at the same time, you can also have other cards that will have double of the same symbol, or even 2 completely different symbols altogether. We'll get into that here in a moment. At the bottom left of the card shows your recruitment cost in skill icons that you need to actually recruit this specialist. Now, because there is no one currently in this division, you're going to have to pay full cost to get this specialist recruited. Well, you also have tiles here, which represent research icons you can pay with. So you can pay with these 2 research icons, and what you would do is pass them to the person on your left. And now you can successfully recruit the specialist into your tableau and division. Let's say, for example, you didn't have those 2 research icons. In that case, you can choose a card from your hand, discard it to the community area with all the other research specialists, and that allows you to choose 2 of whatever icons you need for a card. So in this case, I would go ahead and say, hey, I want these 2, and then immediately go ahead and recruit because now I have them. There's also the case that some of the specialists in your tableau have symbols that would match what you might need, and you can use those for the recruitment cost as well. Now, what would happen if you'd already had 1 card in the division to begin with? Well, if you look at the bottom left of the card where the recruitment cost is, you also see an arrow. And for every card in your division, you would go ahead and decrease the cost that you would need going up. So in this case, the blue icon would no longer be needed. All I would need is that one on top. Now, if you look at this card in your tableau and you look at the bottom right, you have a ton of symbols on this card. What does this card do? Well, an easy answer for that is take a look at the number 31 at the top right of the card. Now we look at our handy dandy fancy player aid, and hey, look, we found the number 31 and that symbol, and it tells you what that does. Return the specialist from your hub to the center to get 3 research icons of any type. Or how about this one here, number 57. At the start of your turn, you may change the order of specialists within one division in your hub as you wish. Why is that really cool? That's because if you cover up a card with certain power on it, you're typically shutting that power down and it is no longer of use. And that's just a few examples of how the different kinds of powers work and the different kinds of things you can get in the game when it comes to combos and things of that nature. Now let's take a look at the research projects. As you can see, you've got several different here on the board, and that's going to change up according to player count. And they are double-sided. Each one's going to require that you have a certain number of specialists and or icons in your research division already recruited. But once you have a certain number of them recruited, you can now take this for in-game scoring. Speaking of icons, let's go ahead and take a look at those cards again. Now, if you look, you got several different types of cards which may have those double icons we were talking about. Now, these double icons still count towards those research projects and the amount of icons needed to actually complete them. Now, you also have the cards that have the two different types of icons on them. These cards can be completed and put into either division that you want, but watch out, they're only good specifically for that division. But yet, even if you put this card into a specific division that doesn't match one of those icons, that icon that's not in use can still be used towards research projects. Keep that in mind. At the end of every person's turn, you will draw back up to 6 that's laid out in the community area. Now remember, the first person to get 12 specialists recruited, or if all the research projects have been completed, that triggers the end of the game. And ultimately, the person with the most points at the end wins. Let's get back to our final thoughts. Okay, for me, this is currently one of my favorite games I've played this year. Let me go ahead and get into some of the reasons why, all right? First off, from the retro artwork, which is very well done, to all the card quality, I mean, everything. There's not a lot of components in the box in terms of like multiple types. It's just cards and some area for your tableau. I'll tell you what really got me into this. First off, love engine building, okay? It's one of my favorite mechanics ever in a game, period. It's where I am making myself cooler as I go by adding more things to my tableau or whatever it is that I'm building out, right? It's the same thing I like about Terraforming Mars, Scythe, so on and so forth. This has a lot of that feel, but in a very condensed amount of time. If you played Splendor or Century Spice Road or anything, you're gonna have a little bit of a familiarity with that. Now, this is a little bit of a different game too, right? The main thing that's gonna have familiar with that is you're building up a tableau of things, getting stronger, having more, abilities and things like that to do more. The one thing though that makes this different, at least in particular from Splendor, is that it doesn't do exactly the same kind of stacking that Splendor does. In a sense it does, but it doesn't do the exact same style. I mean, all you're doing is removing the different types of icons that you want from the bottom, the symbols, okay? And you have to be very specific about the row that it goes in. Yeah, Splendor does that too, but this does it in such a way that you don't have to have very specific colors when you're doing that if you've already built your engine up. Now, yeah, you're still paying for colors you don't already have or have enough of, but I love that idea. But I like the creative way that they were able to remove the symbols and still make it feel like you're keeping specific divisions separate. You know what I mean? Your research divisions. Now, does that mean that the theme's just coming out at me and throwing itself in my face and going, hey, theme, theme, theme? No. This is, for the most part, a pasted on theme. It probably could have been just nearly anything, but there was just enough of what they did in the game to help, like with the art and other things, to help bring that theme out enough for me to enjoy it and go, yeah, I'm actually creating something like, scientific for research for space. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a pasted on theme, but it works for what you're doing. And I really, really enjoyed that. And I love the tension that's in the game of you going, okay, I've got to purchase this card and put it into my research area. But if I purchase that and I don't have enough in cards to take care of it, oh man, I'm going to be giving these, the research icons to somebody else, that basically the money, right? The research symbols. I'm going to be giving those to the person to my left, and it's going to be helping them. So basically, although I may be helping myself, I may be also helping the person next to me. And there's that tension, that push and pull. Like, do I really want to do that? Or do I want to sacrifice a card and get some wild symbols, so to speak, that I need? Oh, that tension is what makes this game great, because you're constantly concerned about what other people are doing around you as well as your own. You know what I mean? So you're wondering, should I pay them or not? And that's the strategy, also plus the tactics, because you're also dependent a bit upon that card draw. And I like that most of the time turns are very quick and snappy. Now, I love this at every player count. Every player count was fun for me, and that's cool for me to say, because there's a lot of games that come out that are similar to this or what have you that aren't always great at 2. Or even the highest player count. This one hit well at 2, 3, and 4. I loved it. I loved it at every player count. And it's not that long of a game, even when you go to the highest player count. Now, a possible con for your group, it might be the ease of entry. Okay, this is not going to be as easy to get into as other games that I was mentioning. There is a lot of symbology in the game, nowhere near as bad as Batman. If you've seen that review that we did, oh my gosh, that's like symbology on steroids. Okay, this is not that bad, but the cool thing is there is symbology on the cards. You do have to kind of get used to what's coming out there, and you're trying to figure out how to chain those combos and things. That part's awesome, right? I love being able to chain combos and do fun stuff in my tableau, be able to rearrange cards if I have a power that allows me to do so, things like that. But the ease of entry is not going to be great, okay? You're just going to take you at least probably 1, maybe 2 learning games to get it down, and even then you're still kind of going, okay, how can I chain things together, what have you. Now, some people may catch on quicker than others, but there were a couple people in my group, including myself, that it took me a little bit to catch on to some of those aspects. But I will say the saving grace and one of the coolest parts of this whole game, and it gave this game points in my book, was having these player aids that explains every symbol on the cards. And I love the fact they put the numbers on the cards that immediately draws you right to where that is on there, the explanation. So, you know, if I'm looking up for number 43, it says upon completion of a project, take 1 card from the deck. It tells you what that symbol does, and it's just, I love that. I absolutely love that. That is something that saved this game for me. If this did not have these, right, because there's 4 of them in the box. If they didn't have this, I would have been angry. I'd have been like, no, we ain't. I would have docked this game points. But because of this, it made the game so much easier for us to do. And there's other publishers that could definitely take a lesson from this game in terms of that, because not every publisher does this, sadly. Another cool thing that happened was the fact that pretty much everybody who played this game either wants it or just loved it in general, okay? We played a game of it last night, as a matter of fact, where we were sitting down and we had a first-time player. We'd played several already. We introduced him to the game. Immediately after playing this game, he types in his phone on his game want list, he types this game up. I think this game is going to have a wide appeal, and everybody who played this, which were several people, loved this game. So anyway, what do I give this as a final rating? At this point, how this game makes me feel, I'm giving this an 8.5 out of 10. This is absolutely one of the best games of the year. It's one that I don't ever want to leave my shelf. And my co-host Brian, which some of y'all know, desperately also wants to get this game. He wants a copy for himself so he can play at home with his family. This is an amazing game. You absolutely should go check this out. I'm giving it a high recommendation. High recommendation. Anyway, thank you so much for watching the Dice Odyssey videos. And how about you? Have you had a chance to play Space Explorers? Have you heard about it? And also, please remember to like and subscribe. I know that's cliche sounding, but it really does help the channel, and we really appreciate all the help we can get. Thank you again. You have a blessed day, and game away. This video is brought to you by Fallen Dominion Studios. Check out their website at fallendominionstudios.com.